Machiavellianism, the subtle art of influence in the modern world. In the intricate dance of power, the most effective figures are not always the ones who wield the loudest voice or the sharpest sword. Instead, it's often those who understand the underlying dynamics of human nature, subtle manipulation in the power of perception. At the heart of this understanding lies the philosophy of Niccolò Machiavelli, whose principles of power, control, and influence have transcended centuries. Though his writings, especially The Prince, were meant to advise rulers of city-states in Renaissance Italy, they have found startling relevance in today's political, corporate, and social arenas. This essay explores the timeless tactics of Machiavellianism, focusing on how they can be adapted and applied in modern contexts where direct coercion is no longer the primary tool of influence. The core of Machiavellian thought, Machiavelli's philosophy, is grounded in a pragmatic, often cynical view of human nature. He believed that people are primarily driven by self-interest, and that leaders must understand and exploit these tendencies to maintain power. Unlike moral philosophers who focused on idealistic visions of good leadership, Machiavelli was more concerned with what actually worked in the messy, unpredictable world of politics and power struggles. He argued that the ends often justify the means, and that in the pursuit of power, ethical concerns should take a back seat to practical effectiveness. This view is best encapsulated in his most famous work, The Prince, where he offered advice to rulers on how to navigate the turbulent waters of power. He warned against the dangers of idealism and urged princes to be ruthless, opportunistic, and above all, adaptable. In Machiavelli's view, power is not a fixed, static entity. It's a fluid, ever-changing force that must be carefully managed and manipulated. Modern Machiavellianism. Beyond politics, while Machiavelli's insights were originally intended for rulers of small Italian city-states, his principles have proven to be highly adaptable to modern society. In today's world, where direct coercion is often frowned upon and overt displays of power are scrutinized, Machiavellian tactics have evolved into subtler forms of influence. Rather than ruling through fear and force, today's most effective manipulators wield power through perception, social influence, and psychological tactics. In modern settings, whether in corporate boardrooms, political campaigns, or social dynamics, Machiavellian tactics operate beneath the surface. They are less about direct control and more about creating environments where others believe they are making independent choices, when in reality, their options and actions are carefully steered. This is the essence of modern Machiavellianism, creating an illusion of freedom while guiding people towards desired outcomes. The 5 tools of modern Machiavellian tactics. Machiavellianism is not about brute force or obvious manipulation. It's about subtlety, strategy, and psychological insight. The following are 5 key tools that form the modern Machiavellian toolkit, offering practical approaches to gaining and maintaining influence in today's complex social and professional environments. 1. Narrative control, shaping the story. One of the most powerful tools in the modern Machiavellian arsenal is the ability to control the narrative. In today's world, the story you tell is often more important than the reality it represents. People's perceptions are shaped not by what is objectively true, but by the way information is framed and presented. A leader or influencer who controls the narrative can dictate the terms of engagement, influence opinions, and sway decisions without ever directly forcing anyone's hand. In practical terms, this means strategically presenting information in a way that aligns with your goals. For example, a political figure might highlight their achievements in a way that paints their leadership as indispensable, while downplaying any failures or controversies. Similarly, in the business world, a CEO might craft a narrative around their company's success that makes it seem like their leadership alone is the key to their organization's prosperity. By controlling the story, you control the way others think, and in turn, you control the way they act. In modern media, narrative control has become especially important. Leaders in politics, business, and entertainment must now navigate a complex web of social media platforms, news outlets, and other channels to manage their public image. The manipulation of information through strategic storytelling becomes crucial to securing and maintaining power. The ability to create a compelling narrative that resonates with people's emotions can have a profound impact on their behavior, making it a powerful tool of modern Machiavellianism. Second, gateways, becoming the essential link. Another core principle of Machiavellianism is the idea of positioning yourself as the essential link between others and the resources or opportunities they desire. This concept revolves around the creation of gateways, strategic positions of power where others must come to you in order to gain access to what they want. By making yourself indispensable, you become the key to unlocking success for others, and in doing so, you secure your own position of power. This is a tactic commonly employed in both business and politics. In a corporate setting, a manager or executive might position themselves as the sole gatekeeper for promotions, resources, or critical information. In the political sphere, a politician may frame themselves as the only one capable of securing certain benefits for their constituents, ensuring their continued support and loyalty. By positioning yourself as the essential link in any process, you increase your leverage and control over others. One example of a modern political figure employing this tactic is Steve Jobs. While not a politician, Jobs became a central figure in the tech world by positioning himself as the indispensable visionary behind Apple. His ability to command loyalty from employees and customers alike stemmed from his strategic positioning as the driving force behind Apple's success, making him an essential figure in the business ecosystem. This kind of positioning can be replicated in various industries, where individuals position themselves at the nexus of opportunity and influence. 3. Calculated mercy, knowing when to forgive. Machiavelli famously stated that a ruler should either completely forgive or completely eliminate an enemy. Half measures often lead to the worst outcomes. The same principle applies in modern contexts. When dealing with opposition, it's important to recognize when to extend mercy and when to completely sever ties. In some cases, offering a calculated act of mercy can turn an opponent into a loyal supporter, while in other cases, eliminating a threat entirely is the best course of action. In the workplace, this could mean offering a second chance to an employee who has made a mistake, thus winning their loyalty and ensuring their future productivity. Conversely, it might mean cutting ties with a colleague or competitor who poses a long-term threat to your position. The key is to be strategic in your forgiveness, ensuring that your actions serve to consolidate your power rather than weaken it. There are numerous examples in history of political leaders employing this tactic with great success. One notable example is the way Nelson Mandela handled his enemies upon becoming the president of South Africa. Instead of seeking vengeance, Mandela offered forgiveness to those who had oppressed him and his people, understanding that healing the country required a shift from conflict to reconciliation. In doing so, he solidified his own position of leadership while fostering unity in a deeply divided nation. 4. Crisis as catalyst, using disruption to your advantage. Another classic Machiavellian strategy is the use of crisis to consolidate power. In times of upheaval and uncertainty, people are more willing to accept drastic changes that they might otherwise resist. This principle is often referred to as manufacturing or exploiting a crisis, recognizing that disruption creates opportunities for power consolidation. In modern business, leaders often introduce sweeping changes during periods of organizational crisis, such as after a merger or in the wake of a financial downturn. By framing these changes as necessary responses to the crisis, they can push through reforms that would have been difficult to implement during more stable times. Similarly, politicians often seize moments of national crisis to implement policies that would be controversial under normal circumstances. In both cases, the crisis serves as a smokescreen, allowing leaders to push through their agendas with minimal resistance. In 2008, during the global financial crisis, many leaders took advantage of the disruption to consolidate their power introducing legislation that reshaped the financial landscape. Politicians and business executives seized on the uncertainty to implement their policies, whether through bailouts or austerity measures, all under the guise of economic recovery. These policies would have been difficult to introduce during stable times, but the crisis allowed for their rapid implementation. 5. Predictable power, establishing consistency and reliability. Finally, one of the most important elements of Machiavellianism is the creation of predictable power, the ability to demonstrate competence, reliability, and consistency in action. By establishing a track record of success and predictability, you create an aura of inevitability around your leadership. People come to expect your success, and as a result, they are less likely to challenge your authority. In practical terms, this means consistently delivering on promises, meeting deadlines, and making decisions that align with your established reputation. Over time, this predictability builds a sense of trust and loyalty among your followers, making it more difficult for opponents to undermine your position. As Machiavelli observed, nothing makes a prince more esteemed than undertaking great enterprises and delivering striking examples of his own abilities. The ethics of Machiavellianism, navigating the gray area. Machiavelli's philosophy, while effective, often raises ethical questions. Is the use of manipulation inherently corrupting? Does the knowledge of these tactics inevitably lead to their misuse? The answer is more nuanced than many realize. Machiavelli himself recognized that power is neutral. It can be used for both noble and corrupt purposes. The key difference lies in the aims that the power serves. Influence directed towards collective benefit, protection, or positive change is fundamentally different from influence directed towards personal gain or exploitation. The same tools of manipulation that can lead to tyranny can also be used to protect and lead effectively. The challenge lies in how these principles are applied. Understanding the mechanics of power and influence doesn't automatically make one corrupt. It's what you do with that knowledge that matters. Leaders who use these tools to serve the common good can achieve lasting success, while those who use them for selfish gain risk moral decay and eventual downfall. Conclusion: the Machiavellian mindset for modern success. Machiavelli's insights provide a powerful lens through which to understand the dynamics of power, influence, and human behavior. In today's world, where direct control is often replaced by more subtle forms of influence, the principles he outlined remain just as relevant. Whether in the corporate world, politics, or social interactions, the ability to shape perception, control narratives, and guide others without them realizing it is the key to true power. However, it's important to remember that the line between effective leadership and manipulation is thin. The goal should not be to exploit others for personal gain, but to use these tools responsibly to create outcomes that benefit both the individual and the collective. By understanding the subtleties of Machiavellianism, we can navigate the complexities of modern power dynamics, using these insights to guide us toward ethical and effective leadership.